mattresses, and some issue on tents during the Exodus. And you are looking at the world's greatest press pot in the first place. I'm the type of person who thinks that going to a hotel is roughing it. So the easiest way to say it is I have yet to go camping where I don't always find the rock to go under my back. Wherever I want to sleep, there's always the rock there. And so I've looked at a number of different options. What can I do for a bed during the Exodus? And I've come up with a number of different options, which have almost all failed. One, an air mattress. Well, that sounds really good, except for the fact you don't have enough D batteries to keep blowing the thing up every day. And the heavier you are and the colder it gets at night, the more it becomes a hammock. But it does get your back off of the rocks. So by all means, that's a great thing if you can sleep on them. I think they're going to, and again, I just don't think there's enough D batteries for everybody to get to the other side and make it all the way through with one of these things. To the extent that they will work, great. Love to have it. The next option is to actually make your own bed. And what you do on that is you take some 2x4s and you take some webbing, kind of like what they use under sofas. And you can make your own size. It's very small to go out with. And so you take a webbing stretcher and tighten up those straps. And that really seems to be something that might actually work in theory. One, you're going to have to put the thing together, and that may be some problems. 2x4s of size you want to sleep on are problematic enough to get there. Are you going to be able to get them onto a plane if you're going onto a plane? On a boat, it shouldn't be a problem. But the real problem is stretch. And even at a very small amount of stretch, which most of the webbing is going to stretch much more than that, but if you got some polyethylene web straps, they're going to stretch at least 5%. And you could say, well, okay, what's the difference? So what, 5%? So if I'm looking at a 7-foot long bed, it's only going to stretch 4.2 inches. That's nothing. Except for the fact that 4.2 inches of stretch would actually drop it down by 10 inches. So, if you're on a 2x4 and the bed actually drops down 10 inches, basically you're not even getting any benefit of that at all because you're sleeping right on the ground. So that really doesn't work. Plus you're having to redo it. Now if you got some Kevlar straps, Kevlar does not stretch that much. If you had them prepped and everything ready to go, it could work. Don't try to abuse it. Something could snap, something could break on it. And that's a viable alternative as long as you're gentle as all get out with that. And then you can just put a blanket on it and, hey, it's great. Kevlar straps are going to cost you. I'd probably only put them underneath where your torso is and then run the webbing and crisscross them everywhere else. And again, if you don't do it that way, if you don't have Kevlar under there, it's going to stretch so much, it's useless. That leaves really only a few options. Either A, be in the military and specifically make sure that you sleep outside of the camp in somebody else's home that you went through that night. And I don't think that's going to be a viable option, so let's just wipe that one as an option that's off the table. The second option, come with an RV or a camper, because they have a lot more comfortable beds. And if you can actually get an RV or a camper on the Exodus, and you can actually get it off the boat, and you don't lose it during Egypt, and you're actually able to go with it, you may be one of the wealthiest men on the face of the earth, because everybody would sell almost anything to be able to sleep in that type of, into an RV and in something that's comfortable. I don't think you're going to make it there with that, so I'll just lay it out. I don't know that it'll work, but if you could get it there, wow. Again, most people will be selling you their daughter and everything else to be able to switch places with you, to sleep in something like that. Which leaves two options. Either one, sleep on the ground, which hopefully you can get sand. And sand is not a bad bedding material. You can just kind of sleep on the ground if you've got sand. But I don't think we're going to be that lucky, because he tells us we're going to the high hills, and that's where we get the waters, on the hills. So I don't think that's going to be sand as a base for the bedding. And if it's not, you can imagine some hard, jagged rocks, and those are not going to be fun. And, we can't be complaining. Excuse me. So, which leaves one option that I can see, and that is, unless you're going to take a mattress there, and I don't think you're going to get there with a mattress. Because if you can get there with a mattress, then I'm taking a chandelier and some paintings, and I'm going to put an Oriental rug down, and I'm going to actually enjoy camping. And since I'm being facetious, because I don't think I'm doing that, I don't think you're going to make it with a mattress. But you could get a mattress topper. Get a firm one, not memory foam or anything like that, because it's soft, because you'll still find all the rocks. But if you get one that's very firm, you keep it in the box, you've got it shippable, and it's not that expensive. You can take it over with you. And I think that's probably the best option that we have. A lot of us who have slept in our homes for Sukkot, we know that the floor is hard and it is uncomfortable as all get out. So something like that would work to try to get us off the hardness and out of the rocks a little bit. Is it going to be perfect? No. But I think that may be the best option that what we really have for bedding through the Exodus. Now, the other part of this video was actually on camping. And I'm not going to speak on camping, on how you do it or anything like that, because who cares? People have 1,000 times more experience than me. And not just more experience, they'll do everything better than I can on camping. The issue is there a day where you do not camp? And the answer to that is, I believe, yes, there's a day you don't camp. And that is, if you are going by boat and you don't go over by plane to Mount Sinai for the Exodus, if you go by boat and you're captured by the Egyptians, which is Deuteronomy 28:68, and then you leave and then you come to the Dead Sea, if he's going to split the waters again, do not put up a tent, because we are told that it's a very strong east wind. So if you put up a tent, you may be blown off that tent. Your tent will most likely get broken on that day if you try to set it up. So just sleep on the ground that day. It may be rough, it may be whatever. It's going to be windy, so it's not going to be this enjoyable, oh, this is great sleeping weather. I think sand's going to be blowing in your face and everything. And, people are going to get irritable. I'll probably be one of those. And I think that's one of those things where he's testing us. Are you going to follow me even when you're getting irritable? And if we think about the Exodus, the first Exodus, he would take them 3 days without water to see what they would do. Are they going to grumble? And, the whole thing is, oh man, horrible night sleeping last night. Thank God I'm here. I'm just so glad to be here. Boy, that was a hard night sleeping. Man, when you're by the Red Sea, man, he opened up that thing. The wind was blowing all over the place. Sand got in my eyes and my face and everything. I thought he was going to try to bury me in Egypt, but thank goodness I'm here. And if you treat it that way, then you're golden. When you start going to that, man, the wind was whipping, and you start getting that complaining idea, that's where you're going to have problems. And remember, he's going to put you through some physical stresses to see what you're going to do. Manna was a test in the first Exodus, but we know about it. We look forward to it, so it's not as much of a test for us. But water was also a test in the first Exodus, and it was a stress point. And so it's a question of, what are you going to do? Are you going to complain about it? Now, since we know that water is an issue, then I would suggest some canteens, some other way to transport your water with you. So you won't be complaining as much because you've actually had the waters, if you filled it up before. Otherwise, you could be going 3 days and saying, man, I need some water. I am really parched. How long can a body go without water? About 3 days. So they were pushing, he pushed them to the limit. And he's going to push us to the limit. And if you think that he pushed them to the limit and it's going to be a breeze for us, I'm telling you, you're wrong. It's not going to be the breeze. He's going to test us. He wants to see who's going to grumble and complain. And it may be a factor of a lack of sleep. And I know that I am the one who gets the most grumbly about that. So if you're going to find the person who's going to have the worst bedding experience, it's probably me, because that's how he'll test me. To say, okay, well, this is how I know I got you. I'll leave it at that. I like I said, I know where he's going to probably really tag me a little bit. Which is, again, why I look at these things, to try to see if I can help others. Is there some kind of insight I can give you so that you don't have it as bad? Again, as long as we're around, if we're in the desert area, it's going to be beautiful sand. Sand is great. You pitch your tent, you lay down, and it's just going to be perfect under there. It makes a great bed. You want to have a little bit of a topper to it because it's still hard as a surface, but you can push it. You can make your own indentations so it doesn't create a problem for you on your hip points and everything, where you got a lot of weight there. You can push that down and settle it around a little bit, and then you can get comfortable. It's still going to be somewhat hard, but it's livable. But if you had a topper on top of that, then you're in seventh heaven at that point. But if you're on the rock, if you're on top of the hill, I don't know a hill in Jordan or Syria that's not, well, actually I know some in Lebanon that have some ground over them, but most of them are rocky. And how many, when you've got the whole camp around there, how many of us are going to be on the rocks? I think a lot of us are probably going to be somewhere around a rock. And I'll probably always find the rock. My body always does. So, but again, now I'll leave it at that. I think there's really only one good bedding option. The other thing you could do is do a cot. But cots are only for individual people. If you try to get like a queen size cot and everything, it's kind of like sleeping on somebody's sleeper sofa when they pull it out and all you're going to feel is the metal under there. Now, is the metal better than the bed or than the rock? Sure it is. But you're starting to get to a lot of weight at that point in time. I think you're easier just doing a mattress topper and go from there and just kind of lay it on the ground. And you can go, and again, when you get to the Dead Sea, if that's the path that you're going, don't put up the tent that night because it'll break all your stakes, and the poles that are holding up your tent, they'll be broken.